Welcome back to the WGL EU. We are into match week 2, and now we're getting ready for game 2. The first game was pretty darn good. Team Supreme looked pretty strong, but now game 2 is a very different matter here. Two very different teams. What do you make of these two going head to head?
Well, both these two are coming off a loss, of course. ASAP got trounced by Team Supreme 5-0 in the last match, and of course Synergy managed to beat Utopia 5-3. Kind of surprising consider what Synergy did against Kazan yesterday. But I think this is going to be a good match. Utopia, they've switched up the way they play, with some lucky Karaki players, and they have some really unusual tactics, and it's going to be good.
We'll have to see how ASAP deals with them. We're going to find out very soon, of course. We'll be telling you that map list in a moment, but it's not just us on the desk. We are joined by Melee still, and of course. And if people had their predictions ready, previous, they've been researching the teams maybe at home, where could they get through to us if they wanted to tell us?
Well, the team vote is already live since 10 minutes, and we already have some kind of pre-result, let's call it that way. And it's 73% for Utopia. So the last match for ASAP didn't go pretty well, to put it that way. It hurt watching somehow, but yes, maybe they will make up. 27% of the community still has faith in ASAP, but there is a strong fan base behind Utopia at this moment. But the match is still, it still has to come, and let's see how it goes. And people, if you haven't voted already, head over to Facebook and get in your predictions. And by voting and predicting the exact scoreline of this matchup, you get a chance of winning bonus codes. The first 3, fastest predictions of this matchup are rewarded with bonus codes.
And there you go. You've got to be fast and correct, and then you get bonus codes. That sounds good to me. Anyway, we've got to start talking about these two head-to-head here and kind of break down what we expect to see. So as said, Utopia up against ASAP. I guess if you're a WGL EU regular, you'll probably know Utopia a little better. They have a couple more players that people will recognize. But what do you think head-to-head will separate these two?
It's going to be an interesting match because Utopia are obviously coming from last season. They got knocked out, and then they went through the Open qualifier and got back into the WGL. So they got a little bit of experience, and with Snip in there, I think it's going to be a pretty good team this season. A little bit unusual, as I mentioned, but I think this match is going to be good. ASAP has a lot of work to do, but I know they've been putting the hours in, so they should provide.
It's quite ironic, isn't it? Because Utopia at the start of last season were the team that shocked us with some big results, picking up some quite surprising wins in very unique form. But if you're saying ASAP has some interesting strategies, we might see that formed on Ruinberg. Now, that's going to be the first one coming up, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. What do you make of these two teams on Ruinberg specifically? Is there players we should be watching out for?
I think there's 2 players for me. Dorm from ASAP was really good. I mean, I really enjoyed the way he played. I think the way he kind of, not from ASAP, from Utopia, the way he played around was pretty awesome. Good play especially in the heavier tanks. Also, we got Spezian in there. He's been pretty good for his team. Dawn's from ASAP, not for Utopia. Getting all mixed up here. Yeah, I mean, of course, Utopia, there's a good lineup altogether. We got some players from Lucky Karaki, and they have a lot of experience on their shoulders. And I think, it's one of those teams which can start performing. Obviously, the storyline for Utopia last season, as you briefly mentioned, was that they went into the season very good and then dropped off.
Let's hope they can find maybe some more form going into this and making it more consistent. As we said, they did pick up some good rounds here and there. They were able to actually take down some greater opponents on paper and at the end of the season who did score substantially higher than them. Yep. But it was one-offs. It was here and there. Sometimes when the strategies worked, they were great. Sometimes when these unorthodox plays caught people out, it was quite fun to watch. But everyone started to learn their tricks. You can't pull that stuff off all the time. We've said it before. These cheesy strategies sometimes will work once and it'll catch you off. But you can't keep doing it because the teams learn very quickly here. You're playing up against the best. So what do they need to do to really become more consistent? Well, I'm going to answer my own question because I think we're about to find out. Guys, let's turn our attention to the first map, Ruinberg. And welcome into map number 1. We will be seeing ASAP on the defending side, starting out in the northeast and in the southwest. It's going to be Utopia on the attack. And take us into these lineups. What are we seeing? What stands out to you?
So a pretty predictably fast lineup from Utopia. T54s, AMX 1390s, and a nice little 5100 play by one of my favorite players, Bishu. And for ASAP, very heavy. They've gone for 2 R3s, 2 5100s, a T54. Strangely enough, Agorni playing that MX 1390. Have to see how that one works out. But he was, you know, a star player in Penta back in Season 5, so I'm sure he's going to do very well. And of course, lastly, Insane, by the way, the team captain for ASAP, playing that T37.
Well, this seems like ASAP know what they want here. They're not putting players down towards the south that we often see, pushing out down the 0 line, down towards, K0. They're not going for that initial challenge. They're letting Shock and McMoney take some control. Now, we said last season that players like McMoney and Shock were actually outstanding, but at the moment they're taking a lot of fire. It seems that ASAP were prepared for this.
Papa, I think he's actually been spotted. Alexander does find him. Nice little first pick off, but just provides Shuku with some cover. T37's not a small tank. It's very tall, kind of like the Chaffee, and he's going to be able to get some good sniping shots down onto those squidgy 5100s that are sitting up in the eastern side of the village. But ASAP have gone for a very a positional defensive play. They got a lot of tanks in that kind of corner area. Some obviously defending the northern cap, some defending that eastern cap, and of course next to that fountain, the IS3, which can kind of flex between the two. So it's going to be tricky for Utopia to get into this game, but I think ASAP being so spread out and also being so static, it's definitely given Utopia some time and definitely some breathing room to go in and actually do something here.
Yeah, we often see maybe more control put towards that eastern village from the defending side, so they can keep eyes on that southern cap that has been started off. I think that's Hunter going to be sitting in there in that T54 lightweight, just going to get that one started and just give a time limit for ASAP to make a move in response to and allow Utopia some control. But it has at least forced that IS3 out position. The T54s in the 1390s towards the city side are actually making the move, and Insane, living up to his name, you don't want to be taking on a 5100 here right now, buddy. He does have some backup, but they're not joining him, and I think he knows his days are numbered here. He's
actually being bait, and if Bishu goes too far, he will get punished very quickly indeed. But Insane obviously going to get out of there as quickly as possible, but he's got McMoney from the right.
And McMoney doesn't normally miss these shots, and now you're seeing that coming in. Down to a one shot. Insane has hit every shot he's almost made here, 3-2 so far, but he will be taken down by McMoney. Information was gathered, however. But was that worth the trade then? We
see the trade quite a lot with the T37s in the western city area, but it's not a massive deal. I think sometimes the teams do give away their T37s, their tier 6s a little bit too easily, and perhaps with that T37 going down, Utopia's like, okay, so they can't have like a small kind of good ammo, good camo value tank looking towards that right side cap, northern cap. So they might just go for that. It does look like they've rotated most of their tanks around there, apart from the T54 that's just going to be to pester in ASAP from behind. So let's see what Utopia do, but it does look like they are setting up for a kind of middle/northern area offensive movement.
And I'm liking ASAP's play so far. It's quite solid. It seems very well grounded. They're not overextending. Agorni's in quite the predicament, though. He's not been spotted out too much just yet, so he's still relatively safe. But Utopia are starting to, as you say, create some sort of moves here. They're starting to put those 1390s into play. The T54 is starting to come together. We might see them starting to pressure caps. The T54 is in the north as well, on the kind of B1, B2 area, just holding it down. So what do you see unfolding here? What is their intention, to at least your understanding?
Well, as I mentioned in the run-up to this match, Utopia, very strange tactics. They split up a lot. They split up a lot, and they do really, really weird stuff. And clearly that's showing here again. A lot of teams just like to at least have maximum of 2 kind of wolf packs, a split push basically, whilst Utopia coming in from 1, 2, 3, 4 angles, and it's dangerous, but it's something new, and it can definitely catch ASAP by surprise.
And one of those linchpin players will be Bishu. He's holding that central road. He's holding that E-line across and trying to slow anyone down who's going to halt up that cap. But it is underway. They are going to start looking for this one. 80 2 seconds on the cap. And actually, they were capping them both, but it only counts towards one, really. We're going to have to see what ASAP do to put out this fire, because that's going to be slowly ticking away now.
Yeah, that's the pressure we always mention. You know, once you get one tank in the cap, you put a deadline basically on the other team to do something. Panasirian in trouble against Bishu.
Yeah, this is a dangerous move. Bishu's the 5100 here. He's in a great spot. The crossfire's even coming in. He's taking a little too much then. Bishu does manage to take down Panasirian, but he is now down to a one-shot himself. Finally makes it into a touch of cover just about then, but that got a little too close for comfort. And in the meantime, Alexander also took down Shock, so this has not gone perfectly.
No, and ASAP have more hit points because of those heavy tanks. I think you'll see ASAP now just try and find a weakness, push out, and they're going for Hunter.
Well, they found that weakness, and he's all alone. As you said, that several kind of pronged attack coming from Utopia might have just backfired, because Hunter's down to a one-shot. Spezian will find him. And now Dawn, the player that you kind of highlighted, is holding back these two T-54 lightweights from joining in the north, doing wonderful work then, hidden on towards Mooka. He's got Veil up towards the north, also providing some sort of cover. And Dawn now needs to do as much damage possible while he's still alive. 50 seconds remain, and it looks like this should be in the bag for ASAP, but here comes Wilk. He's looking to do the damage. Dawn is going low. He's up against Mooka and Wilk all at the same time. 1v2. He had some support, but it wasn't enough. Wilk does take him down, but Agorni will at least avenge his teammate, leaving only 3 alive for Utopia.
Well, for going for Dawn, they definitely sacrificed some cover, and of course those 254s are going to go down. Great positioning by Agorni, but McMoney's going to have a crack at Spezian.
He's trying it, but I don't fancy his chances. Those IS-3s are a powerful beast to try and overcome. And you're seeing good damage being done with Money, certainly a superstar player, but this is, I'm very surprised. Maybe I need to eat my words, but no, he has no more shells to make, and now he's just staring down the barrel of the gun, and Spezian knows that that one was always going in his favor.
Bishu, last man remaining, and Veil will dispatch of him cleanly. And a pretty solid round from ASAP on the board now, taking it 1-0.
Yeah, ASAP then looking quite comfortable. They didn't look stressed. They dealt with all the fires that were being lit across the map and just exploited any weakness they had. And I feel as though Utopia spread themselves a little too thin then. Yeah,
it was, you know, I think it confused ASAP a little bit at the beginning, and that definitely gave Utopia a little bit of an advantage for a few seconds there. But the thing is, once ASAP saw, you know, that T-54 in the cap Hunter, they just went in, they took him out. And you know, because Utopia was so spread out across the map, it took ASAP a long time to finish this round off. I mean, there was like 5 seconds on the board, but eventually they did do it, and it wasn't, you know, that close. ASAP definitely had the advantage throughout the whole of that, and I think Utopia just missed some directional thought there.
And guys at home, if you agree with Ollie, let us know your thoughts, obviously, on Twitter using that hashtag WGLEU. Hell, it may even be featured in the show if Melly thinks it's good enough. You just have to get past Melly's judgment. And has there been any predictions in chat yet, Melly, or Twitter? Have people been talking to us?
It seems like people can't really decide where to put their money on. At first, the vote went really high towards Utopia's favor, but now we already see a shift without even the first round of the first map being played out.
Oh, okay.
So they love that one of the new maps is featured in this game directly. Like,
I'm excited to see this.
Pick, right? Like the first time a team picked one of the new maps on purpose without being a decider. Well,
yeah, we had yesterday, obviously, Tornado Rocks versus Virtus Pro, where you know, we had the decider map, which is a default, by the way. We for every single round, each 11 rounds in the online phase, we have a default map for the decider. But yeah, today will be the first time we get to see, you know, Ghost Town on Lakeville.
Who picked it?
It was picked by Utopia.
So the strange tactic team going to a brand new map. Like, the thing is, though, this is quite legit in a way. A lot of new teams, if they're up and coming, if they're not in the top tier, will go for like the unknown, which can throw off the bigger teams. I think this could open up an opportunity, maybe.
I agree. I think this could be great for Utopia. You take a strange map, you add a strange tactic, and you get, you know, two minuses or a plus. It's going to be good. I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, we haven't seen it so far. I've seen it in only training battles, and it's been pretty stellar.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. Melly, what do the people at home think about this as well? Have they been giving any feedback on the new maps? Are they looking forward to it?
They're looking forward to see the new map, of course, but I just asked in Twitch chat for predictions, and it's really mixed up. We always have a very high ending, like 5-1 or 5-2, but it's either Utopia or ASAP in balance. So we will see.
Okay.
People, tweet us. Use the hashtag WGLEU to get involved. If you have questions, if you want to hand in your predictions, do it via Twitter. And follow us, of course, for live updates.
And there's been a live update from Carmen. He's putting out the smack talk already. He's not supporting these two new teams. It's like, I've seen better tactics elsewhere. These are knocking him up to par.
It's because he just
gaming these days.
He just won. He just won the Master Cup series, so he's thinking he's big boss man now.
And they're advancing to the Silver Series now.
Yeah,
True,
exactly.
True. So we might see the return of Carmen one day, God forbid. Anyway, we are now ready for round number 2 in this game between ASAP and Utopia. ASAP still on the defense, Utopia still on the attack. Are we seeing something similar, or have they changed up at all?
Exactly the same start as previously. Of course, Utopia have picked up now 2 IS3s instead of that 5100. So clearly, they can't go for anything too aggressive at the beginning because they're just going to get caught out. So they're going for the furthest away from trouble possible, and that's down the south. I'm really curious to see what those 2 IS3s do. I mean, we've seen it a couple of times, but it's always a very risky move, especially on this map where it's going to be pretty obvious that the defenders pick up 5100s, which, of course, ASAP have 2 of.
Well, let's see what they do this time. This was the start that we saw from Utopia. They went towards this eastern side. However, the IS-3s did not make this play. There's the IS-3s going towards that southern cap. They're now in position. I think Insane may have just gathered some information, but I don't know how much here. So it's going to be Bishu. I'm not sure who else is there on the IS-3s. It's Muka. Both IS-3s are getting this cap going. It's about a 40-second cap here with both of them. And this is going to force ASAP to play a more standardized game against a more standardized tactic.
And also, with that line of tanks and the 0 line, it's going to be a firing squad if ASAP do head across the middle. Of course, the classic way to decap on this map is that middle road. Usually you send a tank all the way around. You kind of rotate around either to go to the middle road or to take it all the way around and come from the south. So we have to see what ASAP does to try and get this one. But they are looking like they want to go all in.
Well, this is going down to the wire already. It's down to 4 seconds here. There has to be an answer from ASAP, and it's not coming in time soon. Ogoni's making a big play, but the base has been captured, and they didn't land a shot. That's unbelievable. Right under the noses of ASAP, you saw Utopia walk in and take the victory. Wow. That was...
The timing was, yeah.
Counting is very difficult, apparently, for ASAP. They can fire the tanks, they can aim pretty well.
Yep.
But counting... not quite their strong suit.
Left click is good. Counting is not so good.
Yeah, I think that's what we've learned here today. But what the hell happened? Did they just not realize that it was getting that close, or
because they had so many heavy tanks, they're just so slow? I mean, at the end of the day, Insane tried to go in all in. But Utopia were aiming in the right direction. They get him down. They just relied on Insane getting the decal, which obviously didn't happen. And even if it did, the rest of Utopia, ASAP are so out of position that I don't think it would have even made that much of a difference. So ballsy move by Utopia, but it works out in the end. And one of those tactics that doesn't work twice. But fair enough. I'll give it to them.
Right on the doorstep. Agoni then, if he'd hit the shot, if anyone had hit that one shot they get the opportunity for, it would have worked. And this is kind of what we were saying about the superstar theory, right? That you always want to have at least 2, maybe 3 players who will hit that shot. You put probably Apple Wow, or you put New Molcho, maybe, any one of those players who can handle pressure. Elian.
Me.
Elian in that position, they'll probably land it. But they obviously need the players. Melly just started laughing out of the corner, like not even like kind.
Just a cackle, I think. We can use that as a
cackle.
Describe that as a cackle.
I'm actually a pretty nice person, but that...
Really?
I am.
I think we'll be the judge of that one.
I'm not so sure, Melly.
No.
Just because you act to look, don't blink the old eyelid. Don't do that. Don't flutter the eyelids. Ollie's going to start crying, you know that. He's a very sensitive young man,
I am very sensitive. I got a hard out exterior, but I'm very soft inside, so don't make me cry, Melly. She already has.
So those praline chocolates, you know?
Or just chocolate bars.
That's what I want to say at all. But anyway, wow, I'm just hungry, I think. Anyway, that aside, we need to turn our attention back to the game. So, as we said, the caps don't always work like that. It's going to work once, but then again, it got them a 1-1 scoreline now. So they're pretty much okay. But can they do anything on the defending side? Because they're that crazy attacking team, right?
Yeah, well, I'm really curious because, obviously the defending side is kind of that, like, go back to basics thing on this maps, on pretty much all the maps. It usually includes you setting up so you can defend 2 places at the same time, defend both caps. And, 754, you have 2 caps as a defender, and the attackers have to go and try and get those 2 caps or kill the tanks who are defending. So I think for Utopia, they are going to split up for sure, or they're just going to go all in. I mean, we rarely see a team on the defending side actually go on the offensive on Ruinberg. That could be quite an interesting one. I wouldn't put it past Utopia.
Yeah, it's hard to kind of predict these guys. They do just pull out insane stuff. I'm not too sure, but the votes are still looking in favor to Utopia, so you guys are favoring them. I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe you just had faith in the straight-up cap that was going to work.
They know you. They know Utopia at the end. They don't know ASAP.
True.
It's always the teams people know which they vote for, and we'll see, I think.
I think so far ASAP have looked a little bit more solid, a little bit more well-rounded, but as you said, there's a lot to be seen here. And what did we make then, if we're going to break this down a little more while the teams get themselves ready, of ASAP didn't really get themselves into that Eastern Village. Now, obviously that was a downfall almost in round 2 because they had no one there. But what do we make of teams playing this sort of style? What does it allow them to do when they're not in that Eastern Village? And what's the benefits and negatives of actually not playing that?
Well, I think the main reason why you get the Eastern Village is because you have the high ground. I mean, you can get to anywhere on the map very quickly, and if you don't have it, you really put yourself at a disadvantage. And I think even if you don't commit anything there, you need to have something to keep an overwatch of it. If you decide to go for like a northern play, then it's very gambly. I've always said Ruinberg's all about the caps. We just saw then Utopia managed to cap with one of those kind of all-in strategies. So you can always gamble with one of the two caps, and it quite often works. I mean, remember 2014, the grand finals where Fnatic got beaten out by PvP Super Friends. That gives
Nagatron's shedding a tear right now when you say that.
That's why he's been demoted to caster. For that reason.
It is that one moment.
Yeah, that watershed moment. But yeah, you kind of get the idea. If you want to have an idea of what Ruinberg's all about, even in 742, even though it was 742, you can obviously check that out on our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, the Eastern Village is always been the kind of thing teams play around. I mean, when I was playing Ural Steel 2012, we basically only played on Ruinberg, and the tactic there was actually kind of different. It's like we used to basically go all in and try and defend, try and attack the road that splits the map in half.
Okay.
If you can get that road, you can get dominance across the whole map.
I wonder if these theories will ever come back. It does seem to come back around. That's the thing, though. It is like the old, the fashion trends that from the 80s do come back occasionally. So you'll never know. People can always bring out these tactics, and if they're old school enough. Wow. Anyway, Flame. All right, I need to get in the game before Melly punches you. It's ASAP on the attack now, Utopia on the defense. We're at a 1-1, and Ollie looks scared. What do we see so far from ASAP? Yeah,
well, I'm definitely more scared than these two teams going in here, but we're seeing ASAP use a Utopia kind of esque strategy going towards that southern side, but with a lot of light tanks. I mean, really, they've only got an IS-3 and a 5100. Insane. Immediately getting taken by Wily Good.
Well, let's see what they can do now. Utopia definitely fighting for that Eastern cap. Definitely. Eastern cap? Eastern Village. They definitely want presence there. So they're not going to fall for the same mistake that they kind of forced upon ASAP. But Agorni going quite aggressive. Not going to find too much, and it looks as though we're going to be finding the battle of this side.
Yeah, I mean, feeling Utopia a little bit scared. I mean, looks like they got frightened a little bit there, and they retreating back, perhaps also concerned about that northern side, because one of the classic problems people have in this is getting a little bit of tunnel vision, but Shuku taking a hell of a lot of damage there.
Yeah, he's in trouble. He's kind of pinned in. He's going up that Crescent Moon line, and really good. Took far too much. How much is he down to? 636 HP. Not exactly perfect. Finally goes unspotted for a second, but really he's just about made it back into some sort of cover. But by this point, what sort of ramifications do you have to taking so much damage in one of these heavier tanks so early on?
Well, the heavier tanks, as I mentioned before, they get better as you go through the game, because once the whole team on both sides has taken a fair bit of damage, if you have like an IS-3 alive on a lot of hit points, then it's just impossible to take down, because it can one-shot like pretty much everything at that late stage in the game. So it just gets better, and the armor coefficient as well is great, and just the RNG factor on the T32 or the IS-3 is really a plus bonus. But you can see ASAP now rotating back around. I mean, as I said before, I think one of the weaknesses ASAP had was the fact that they always seem to split up, but they seem to have rectified that one and are now heading up as a team to that northern cap, but they did get spotted on the cross.
They certainly did, and well, let's see what they can pull off here. They look like they're trying to get their own fast cap on if they do make it towards the north, make those IS-3s and 5100s kind of trundle across. IS-3s a little bit heftier to try and make move, but we don't often see this northern cap working. We see them pushing through towards that small northern kind of village area. I don't know if you can even call it a village, it's like a small little town.
But we got the IS-3 right in trouble towards the right side. I think Utopia's cottoned on to the fact that there's going to be a massive cap race going to happen up north. Obviously, they did get spotted on the cross. Now, this depends on how quickly Utopia reacts to this if they win or lose.
Well, let's see how ingenious they are. Good play there from Mooka, taking down Dawn. They've realized that there are vulnerabilities. That 5100 is one of them. Look how many tanks are now rolling towards Vale. He is surrounded. Shell after shell will be coming in, and he is now down to almost a one-shot. There we go. Polomako is going to land that one. And now they're down to, well, a couple of tanks left, but only 10 seconds to stop this cap. It's still going. Hunter's going to go down here. One more shell hitting will do the job. Alexander will want to deliver that, but the cap in the meantime did get dealt with, and it looks like ASAP are out of options.
Yeah, way too obvious of a tactic from ASAP when they got spotted. They should have just tried something new. Papa is going to pester from behind. Yeah, I'm surprised he's not playing artillery, because I saw a highlight video of him playing artillery on this map, and he did like 2,000 damage, so a little bit surprising, maybe something for the future, but it looks like Polomako in that T-54 is going to go and try and get the last reset.
Let's see. 13 seconds. He should be able to do this. I highly doubt he'll be challenged too much. The 3 tanks remaining for ASAP only have 2k HP between them. And now Anderson does get found by Papa. Gorny pinned in between Mooka and Polomako. This is not going to be nice for him, as Mooka trying to be challenged here, but Agorni's now down to nothing. Mooka's even just tempted by the ram if he can get it. Agorni and Alexander fighting back somewhat, but it's almost inevitable at this rate. They're doing what they can. Wilk does deal almost that final blow, as it's Agorni now 1v3 in a 1390 up against a T-37, a T-54, and a 5100. I don't see him getting this somehow.
No, I mean, if you just add up the numbers there, 1,440 damage from the F3, it just doesn't work out in the favor of one of my favorite players in the league, Agorni. Obviously, as I mentioned before, moving over from Penta after Season 5 to, of course, ASAP, and maybe one of the better Romanian players in the league, but he's going to go 1 versus 1 against Papa.
Let's see how this one works out. It is currently 1-1. It looks like it'll be 2-1 in favor to Utopia very soon. Nice work from Agorni then, but did not have HP to keep them alive. Utopia picking up round 3. And looking pretty damn solid with it. I don't think we can really point out too much in regards to that late game, because the numbers were certainly in favor to Utopia then. But how did they manage to bring that situation into their favor in that early game?
Well, ASAP were really obvious. As I said before, they got spotted when they were trying to go to the northern cap. You could see Utopia, they got enough tanks in position to get the reset. They took down Dawn in that IS-3. Then they headed down that crescent moon circle that separates the right side field to the city side left western side. But you can see all the tanks from Utopia, from ASAP, are spotted via Papa and that T-37. Great positioning by him. You can see immediately Utopia starts reacting to going up north, while also making sure that Dawn will go down.
It was just smart play, and as you said, great spots coming out, even just that T-37 doing enough work there to kind of warrant his positioning. However, there is still one more trial on this map, and you see it later on here with the cap. It did get down quite close to around 12 seconds then, but at this point, there's just so much more, let's say, utility with Utopia. They have so many players alive, so much better positioning, and they've got so much HP just to throw at this cap if required. They even have Papa now in the background, just at the back of the cap as well. So Papa actually doing quite nicely. Even when he's not in the artillery, as you said, a player who could work with it. I'd love to see that coming in, and it's becoming more prevalent again, artillery coming back into the game. So you're clearly loving this at the moment.
I'm loving it. It's a shame I should start playing him, because artillery was my
your thing, wasn't it?
my thing. It was great. I mean, I do kind of miss, you know, the Sturmpanzer Bison and Sturmpanzer 2 and the Su-26 and all that good stuff, but we have the M44 and the FE304 to make up for that.
We do. How are the people at home finding the game, Melly?
How's that tank called?
What?
The
Sturmpanzer Bison?
Almost.
Whatever.
Judgmental! Melly, be nice!
Sturmpanzer.
I mean, he dissed my top, right? My
Sturmpanzer.
buttons don't have to fight for keeping my shirt together at least.
Sturmpanzer.
Sturmpanzer Bison.
There we go.
So people at home are still voting 70% for Utopia, and we have a tweet. Alex van Leuven wants to know, well, assumes, he thinks ASAP will win as long as they don't underestimate Utopia. Is this maybe already happening?
The thing is, right, the thing I see, at least so far, is that Utopia have kept some of that experience from the previous seasons. They've got quite experienced players, and even though ASAP looked solid, Utopia, they play crazy strategies, right? but they're still very experienced. So I don't think it's necessarily a case of underestimating. It's you just got to be aware of who they are. You can't, you know, look over that as a factor.
Yeah, I think I don't think any of these two teams are necessarily underestimating each other. I think you know, these are the two teams that qualified through the open qualifier. They're fighting each other. And you know, they could be said to be the most equal. So I think we're seeing some very close games. I just get a feeling that Utopia have got really similar players like they did last season, but are playing a completely different style. And I think for Utopia, they're going to get better through the season, but they're going to struggle at the beginning. So I think ASAP's going to exploit that for sure.
We'll find out very soon, I can imagine. But Melly, if people want to get more predictions in, their thoughts, how can they do so?
By using the hashtag WGLEU and also the vote on our Facebook page. So Facebook.com/WGLEU, where you can get involved via Facebook app, voting for your favorite team, picking the team logo, then predicting the score, and sending it off and hoping that you'll be one of the 3 fastest to grab a bonus code. And if you don't have Facebook, if you don't want to use Facebook, feel free to tweet us by using the hashtag WGLU, even if you have questions or maybe fashion-wise for Oliver. Just depends on you. I love reading from you.
PJ Salt.
Oh, don't take my way of, you know, getting Twitch chat riled up. just saying emotes and seeing if they respond. There you go. Bubble thumb. Kappa Kipo. 1, 2, 3. Anyway, away from the dank memes, we need to get looking in towards game because the teams are ready. The tanks are rolling out, and so are we. So, ASAP on the attack still, Utopia on the defense. They're currently leading at 2-1, but can they keep this up? What do you make of these two? Whoa.
Finally, 3 T69s. A T69 coming onto the line. Of course, that auto-loading American Tier 8 medium tank. So, it's going to be interesting. I mean, a lot of burst potential. Kind of surprised that they picked 3, especially on the defensive side, but it's a tall tank. It can shoot over those fences very easily. You know, not particularly accurate, bad aim down time, but, you know, it does punish when you can unload all those shells.
I think Gorney's kind of feeling a little bit of that pressure right now. I really like the T69. That's because I liked Abby back in the day. I thought they were great on that map, but obviously the draws didn't say so.
No.
But still, Gorney going to be moving up. And the T69s will be waiting in the village.
Yeah, the T69s, they got a good volley off there. I think they're going to be reloading now. You can see Wiley Kid coming off reload and heading back. So that's going to be the name of the game. Also, the great thing about the T69 is that you can just poke over that middle road and get the resets, but really easily. The downside, of course, 250 penetration with the heat ammo is very, very bad. It will struggle so much against the armor and the space armor of the IS-3.
I was getting slightly worried they were actually going to see a repeat of that last go on this cap circle. It's still going, but Mooka is in a good position. He's bought time to allow the T69s into a great spot, and they should be able to fire, as you said, over that ridge, create this damage going forward. And we'll have to see how much that starts to hurt here, because the cap is still going. They're trying to stick this one out. The T37 covered off by the IS-3s. He's bouncing back and forward. We've got the fire coming in from the eastern side, and it is just a battle of attrition right now. 20 seconds left. We are seeing Mooka at least take down a Gorney, but that cap is still going.
These T69s are really doing their job right now, but Power2Mako just missing that shell. I think Utopia kind of put all their eggs in one basket. They've gone all towards the left side, and they might just need to come from the right as well.
I think they're going to have to start considering that pretty soon, because it looks like ASAP are building their forces together as well on that eastern 0 line, pushing their way up towards the village, going to try and get their flank on, but Wheelk has found Insane. Vale and Alexander are now in trouble because they're pretty much going to be, well, at a disadvantage here. The 5100 of Bishu will be greeting at the door, but the cap has been halted. The work has been done, and now we're into the skirmish. ASAP are desperately low on HP, though, down below 3k. Vale going to try and support Alexander by taking on Bishu. 2v1, make it 3 now coming in. Bishu's having to back out. He does finally have some supporting fire, but the damage was done, and Mooka looking to take down Dawn.
Oh yeah, Utopia still have plenty of tanks alive, plenty of hit points. Mooka, team captain for Utopia, is going to try and help his team now.
He's going to try, and, well, he's done a nice little bit of work there, but Vale, Panassin, and Alexander, the last 3 standing up against a hell of a lot of T69s, all fully loaded and ready to go. Shock does get taken pretty low then, and does get taken down by Vale. That's not bad work at all from the T54 lightweight, but this is going to be scattered. These 3 are now being broken down into individual 1v1 skirmishes. Mooka up against Alexander, Vale up against Potomako, but Mooka helps out. He's going to turn his turret towards Vale, take him down. Papa locates Panassin, and now Alexander on the run, 1v4. I don't think he's going to have a hope in hell here. Papa is chasing him down, and he'll deliver deliver the goods, and it will be a 3-1 scoreline on map 1.
Yeah, Ruinberg going quite firmly in favour. Utopia only dropping 1 round on the attacking side. So I think that was good performance there. But Utopia, I think the 3T69 was a nice little bit of innovative play. Nice little bit of innovation in terms of the lineups. We don't see that very much anymore. I'm kind of surprised they didn't go for like a Pershing and 2 T69s. But you know, the initial burst from those tanks towards a Gorny basically took 1 tier 8 tank out of the game. And they do great work across here against the IS-3s, managing to penetrate. But that's really down to the individual player skills as well.
Yeah, it certainly was. But you guys at home, if you've been enjoying that, of course, if this is going against your predictions, give us your thoughts to it. Why did you vote for ASAP? We already heard one of your answers saying that they looked maybe a little bit better. Hopefully they don't underestimate Utopia. But Melly, you can see it here time and time again. Utopia looking better overall. Are we seeing people in chat being surprised, or are they kind of keeping up to this now?
They're still rooting for ASAP. Well, it seems like ASAP has a small but very strong community.
A vocal spammy community.
Exactly.
Nice.
That's what I try to say in a nice way. Twitch chat, we love you. Keep on spamming, vocalizing your thoughts in a quantitative way, maybe?
Yep, that's fine. Yep, okay. We like that.
So people, thank you for getting involved so much today. It's really nice to have you around and to read. And yeah, they want more German words from you, Ollie, but we'll spare you with that. You don't want to hear that, really.
Thanks.
And people, if you have still questions, maybe, that can Ollie answer. He's an expert in tanks, at least. Use the hashtag WGLEU to contact him throughout me.
And at LaughterWT as well works.
No.
No?
Don't do that.
Or they call me Pansy. They call me Pansy. Sorry, I had a real bad cough then. Sorry. No. Carry on.
I'm just constantly spamming it in Twitch chat, so don't worry.
I like that.
No, if you have questions, go ahead. Tell us what's on your mind. Ask us everything you want to know. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, that is pretty much it, at least for map 1. I think we still have one to go, and we've got the brand new map coming up. We've got Ghost Town coming next. I'm pretty excited for this.
Yeah, I mean, we only saw 1 round yesterday, as I mentioned, and Virtus Pro went kind of YOLOing towards the right side. But yeah, we see Ghost Town with Utopia on the attack up next.
And I think it was Utopia's choice, if you said it correctly at the start. So they're already leading 3-1. This could be a quick game if they have everything in the right place in map 2. So guys, if you're excited for Ghost Town, do stay tuned. Welcome back to the WGLEU. We are into Game 2, Map 2, and we are into a brand new map. It's going to be Ghost Town. So, what do we make of this new map? It's come into the season, brand new. It's been not specifically made for esports, but it's certainly catering towards it. What can we expect here between these two teams?
Well, it was designed to be a 742 map back in the days. It was designed very symmetrically, pretty much identical from both sides, because obviously symmetry promotes fairness, because you don't have a benefit for, like, take Himmelsdorf for example. If you start from these days the attacking side, you have a little bit of an advantage, whereas in Ghost Town there's no real such thing. It's a very small map, which allows teams to pick, for instance, heavy tanks, so 5100s, IS-3s, T-69s is also an option, which we saw just now on Ruinberg via Utopia. So I think it's a decent map. I think a lot of the teams don't feel that comfortable on it. That's why it's not being picked up that much, but I think we'll see it more as we go through the season. And
it does slightly remind me of Ensk almost in ways as well. There's certain areas that looks quite similar in I guess, the visual aspect. A lot of the buildings look quite similar. It's a beautiful looking map, so I'm excited to get into this one. Melly, people at home, how are they feeling about this? If they wanted to vote specifically on this game, how can they do so?
Oh, well, for this game, it's late because we're about to head into the second map. The vote closes right after the break after the first map. So currently the vote is on 69% and will be stuck there pretty much. 5 minutes won't change too much. And we have a question from Twitch chat, quickly. Are the players allowed to use their IS-5 reward tank because they got a special account? And he doesn't know. Is there every tank available?
Yeah. You can use no restrictions. You can use any tank up to tier 8. Doesn't matter if it's premium or it's normal.
Okay, cool. So there your answer goes.
And what number is Utopia currently on again, Melly?
Almost 70%.
Almost.
Let us know when it hits 70, okay?
Yeah, we need the updates.
Yeah.
I will update you.
So let's talk about those T69 picks anyway, because they were quite prevalent in the previous map. Yeah, almost 70, but T69s. Do you think we'll be seeing any interesting tank picks coming out in this one? Do you think it allows for it? You okay, Melly?
I'm good.
I was worried for a second. Sorry, I didn't know if you were okay.
Chair.
Yeah. But still. What do we make of specific tank picks? We've seen, or at least I've seen quite some heavy tank picks. Stop it, Melly. IS-3s, 5100s. Do you think we'll see something more specific here?
I don't know. I think this map is like Ruinberg in some respects, because and Ensk, I guess. A little bit of a shame we don't see that map anymore. But it's a lot about playing around the corners and finding the angles. And you need to get the timing correct a lot. Artillery is also an option for the attacker, for the defender even to get the resets. And the sides of the map are quite strange, because you have this kind of like hills that go up like this, and you can hide behind them and you can snipe over on towards the city area. So I like it. I mean, I don't think we're going to see that many specific tanks. As I said, I think T69 is an option for sure. A lot of burst damage, good amount of hit points as well. IS-3 almost certainly, 5100 almost certainly. Obviously a couple of T-54s in there as well.
Guys, it's time. Let's introduce the one, the only, Ghost Town. So welcome into this beautiful brand new map to the league. We will be having Utopia on the attack, ASAP on the defense, and as you can see, it's so symmetrical here, isn't it? What do we need to keep our eyes on?
You need to keep your eyes on that middle cap. That's the most obvious one to go for. We quite often see like a big brawl going on here, but it's also worth keeping in mind that Utopia picked this map. Kind of surprising, because as I said before, a lot of the teams not liking to go for those new maps, sticking to what they know, but Utopia the first one to take the plunge, as it would, to actually try something new and potentially be rewarded for it. And they are 3-1 up, so they need a couple more rounds.
So we've seen a 5916 being picked. That often gets put in towards the caps itself. We do see artillery on the other side, so the M44 there. And as you said, this is a heavily contested area. You got Shock in the IS-3, challenged down by the T-32 on that central cap. But outside of it, we see the 5916 actually going in for the northern cap circle. Yeah,
it's going to immediately get up there and put a little bit of pressure on. Kind of surprising that ASAP really doesn't have that much over there. Spezien and Alexander, who've been playing by far the best for their team, doing over 2k damage in a couple of those rounds on Ruinberg. in a very crucial position to actually get the resets. But this is why the teams pick the T-54s, to get the quick attacks, and also why teams pick the M44 Insane just to get the resets there. But Dawn in big trouble.
Yeah, Dawn is down very low. He was that T-32 towards the central point of this map, right in the middle by that center cap, and he's been taken down to, well, below 400 HP. And that cap is going very well in the north. They have the covering lines kind of crossed off. We've got the IS-3s in position. We've got that 5916 sat there. You've got the backup of the T-32. And Money even joining in. There's a lot of firepower and a lot of HP actually in this cap circle.
And I'm not sure exactly what ASAP can do. We're waiting just about off reload now. Insane has to hit the shot. He's got 5 seconds to make it.
Well, let's see what he can pull off here. Money, Mooka are probably the better targets to go for. 2 seconds left, 1 second left. Utopia once again pulling off these crazy tactics, and they work. Utopia picking up the win, and ASAP once again just having no idea what was going on. They just seemed completely flabbergasted.
Deer in the headlights. Simple as that. I mean, we could all see what happened there. ASAP once again not going forwards, not getting the timing right, and getting caught out horribly. Utopia's simple tactic, put tanks behind cover, and even with Insane in that M44, they couldn't get the resets. The tanks were in. There's too many tanks there that in that cap, and in 2 good positions for him to get the resets. And then the rest of his team just weren't there, didn't push forwards, and
ASAP just don't seem like they've played this map enough to me.
No.
They seem completely bewildered with how to respond to that northern cap. You said it's less likely to be used. You saw it's not been the one that people focus on all the time. But clearly Utopia have gone, well, if that's the case, let's try and find something out for this. Let's try and find our way of playing it. And they did.
yeah.
What can we say about that game? Literally, ASAP had so many tanks outstanding.
No shots, basically. Dawn went down fairly low in that T-32, but there was like 3 shots in the entire game, which actually connected and did damage. So, fair enough, Utopia getting like the humanitarian prize for not doing any damage.
Yeah.
Props to them for getting that one.
Very nice. Well done. Well done, guys.
That's going to be an MVP prize.
Yeah, at the end of the season, if you can win a game without firing under, let's say, 6 shots, you win the humanitarian award.
Yeah.
I don't know what we'll give you, but you'll win something. But still, let's look at this again. As you said, Dawn was the one player who was in the kind of linchpin position between the IS-3s, kind of holding down that 5 line that could have been utilized to maybe form a retake. But it's still 30 seconds on the cap here, so it wasn't a big problem. But still, Insane wasn't hitting the shots, and no one was really moving towards that cap.
And even if Insane did hit the shot, and even one shot at 59-16, like, okay, brilliant, but there's still 2 tanks there are going to get the resets. Like, this is... ASAP should have already been moving 20 to 30 seconds ago. Yes, okay, they might die, but at least they don't get capped like that, where they haven't really tried anything. That's the worst.
I'm not impressed so far with ASAP. The thing is, the first time we saw them, they were pretty impressive. They looked well-rounded, they looked like they knew how to deal with it, but the one thing Utopia is known for is these unorthodox strategies that got them through their initial games. They've just not kept in mind. They've completely forgotten that factor about Utopia. The one thing that set them apart, that made them fairly unique, was the strategies they could pull out.
Yeah.
ASAP just, well, we'll ignore it and let them cap. Once again, counting seems to be the issue. But anyway, we are ready to get back in this one. It's a 4-1 score so far. Utopia coming out strong and looking like they mean business here. But let's see if ASAP have learned how to count this and learn how to stop these caps going right underneath their noses. Yeah,
and it looks like Utopia doing the exact same thing, pushing up north with that 59-16, getting in position, and the same goes for ASAP towards the left side of that city. You can see both teams just immediately polarizing this map. One goes left, the other goes right. But still, I mean, ASAP in the last couple of rounds look kind of defeated, you know. They didn't play particularly well in Ruinberg, and now on Ghost Town they just get out-positioned with a very common and very obvious tactic, especially with that 59-16. I mean, the 59-16 has got like the best camo value of all the tier 6 light tanks. So the only reason why you really use it is to put it in that cap, and it's also pretty quick, but the main reason is for that cap.
So we're already seeing the IS-3s from Utopia getting in towards that D5 area, D6 area that they held before. Now we've seen the same setup here. Mooka and Papa both in towards the cap. And now normally someone else joined them. I can't remember who it was who joined them before. It may have been another IS-3 coming through to help them out there. It might have been Shock. I'm not 100% sure. But this is the same situation again. 25 seconds. And it looks like they're actually going to start trying to decap this. Spezia, Vale, and Agorni are going to be ones getting themselves towards a position.
Well, why didn't they just set up for this in the first place? I mean, why don't you just counter what Utopia were going to do? It's so obviously they're going to do the same thing twice. I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So they're going to push forward. Vale, Spezia, and Agorni, Alexander done quite a good job not to take any damage so far. And they do find a good angle onto Muka.
But now this is where I want to see Utopia's next step, because clearly they have to have planned for, okay, when we sell the cap, this is how they're going to try and stop it. Where do they now go? The IS-3s are on the move towards the village, and this is what they mean to do. Dawn again being just ripped to shreds, down over 1,000 HP points so quickly. Spezian and Vale going to try and punish Papa and Muka, but McMoney's there as well, so it's a 3v2 actually up in the north, and make it a 3v3 now. It's all equal and even, but Spezian goes out on his own, out alone. Polo, Mako, and Hunter watching the cross. They're walking into a trap here. The IS-3s will be watching these guys trying to plow forward. Papa's getting the hell out of the dodge, but gets caught by Agorni. But still, this could be worrying. Utopia still has the HP advantage. They are on match point. If they get this round, they have won this. Muka trying to stay alive, but he's down so low. He might just have the shell there, but Alexander with one more to make, just bouncing that. And this is looking just pretty poor for ASAP. They're down so low on HP.
And Vishu's going to come around the corner, finish off Agorni, who's really one of the only ones left who can do some damage there. And, you know, going very, very badly for ASAP as Utopia look to push off.
I don't know what to say here. ASAP are just falling apart, player by player, piece by piece. Vale next on the chopping board. Podomako's got the shell. He'll deliver it, and now just Insane left alive. You can hear the siren starting to whir in the background, and the shell comes out. Nice. He does actually hit it. Nice work then. But I don't know if he's going to keep... Yeah, exactly. He's just kind of like buffing his own stats for the end of the season. We look at the Hall of Fame maybe, but yeah. I don't think he's going to be able to do much more.
I think it's and as insane is, I just don't think he can finish this game off, especially when you consider Shuku is on full hit points in that IS-3, and of course 4 remaining for Utopia. I mean, they're going for the kind of safe way of finishing this game off, going for the cap, of course, and sending Hunter Sword in that low hit points IS-3 forwards. It's fair enough because, you know, the M44 is it's pretty decent in close quarters. It can turn pretty quickly. The accuracy is not that bad. The accuracy gets negated at close ranges. Bishu just finished him off.
And that is all she wrote. Utopia picking up the win quite convincingly there in, well, the second round of that map. It barely got to see much of it. It was very much Utopia had the plan. They pulled it off, and they pulled it off twice just to add insult to injury. So we even saw the second stage of their strategy coming into play, and it was quite impressive. The IS-3s coming back down the center, watching that cross, creating the crossfire. So worked out well. Yeah,
I mean, it's fair enough to ASAP, though. They actually tried to stop it this time. But I think ASAP should have guessed that Utopia would do the same thing twice. And, you know, Utopia... good on them. They had a tactic, as we mentioned before. The team that picks the new maps first has potential to, you know, bring something surprising. If they've trained it a lot, you know, they can really catch other teams by surprise, and that's what I think what Utopia did. Good crossfire, as you mentioned, with the IS-3s, taking down Dawn with Bishu in the 5100 from behind, and then getting a good amount of resources towards this pushing ASAP.
And as you can see, it just unfolding there. I like that play, the position from Hunter, Shock, and Podomako towards the center. The others just staying alive. Obviously, having the T-32 there, Muka being able to really sustain with that HP. He does go down, I believe, in the end, but he held up Vale quite some time, and he slowed these guys down. So you can see the theory crafting behind what Utopia brought to Ghost Town, and I can't wait to see that in the future. I really want to see the big teams and, you know, trying out themselves, seeing what maybe your Virtus Pros bring, or, you know, any of the big teams out there right now. I just can't wait to see what they can do on it. But still, you guys at home voted. It was near to 70%, apparently. Melly, what did it end on?
70%.
Really?
Actually, really?
Correct.
But to quote someone from the community, they just sat there.
Yeah.
They just sat there.
I mean, it's ironic because their name is as soon as possible.
Yeah.
You were waiting for ages to use that word. You probably thought about it at the start of the show, like,
I was like,
if I get my moment.
They didn't see the possibility. I don't know. Could it be the language barrier?
No, I don't think so. I think they just got a lot of work to do, and Utopia seem to be, you know, gaining ground in terms of their tactics and their individual player skill as well.
I mean, the second time in a row, such an ending. First it was 5-0, 5-1. Isn't it demotivating at some point?
Yes.
And again, I guess it depends.
But how to work against
well,
it?
it depends what sort of team you are. You don't always learn from winning, you learn from losing. Pretty much simple as that. And if you're already competing at the very top level in any competitive game, especially World of Tanks with such a big community of players, you've got to be prepared to lose sometimes, and you've got to learn and kind of pick yourself back up and say, all right, well, we made these mistakes. Next week, let's try and focus on this. And hey, if they don't win any games of the season, they drop down to the other leagues. So what? They can build themselves back up. So it's a matter of learning to me.
And Mark is actually asking, do you guys think that ASAP will win a game this season?
With the right maps, I think they could.
Yeah, I mean, I hope they can actually, get themselves sorted here. I would hate to see them be like a DTQ of a season where they start off bad and it just goes worse. So.
Yeah, I think on maybe more standard maps against a less creative team, they could probably do okay. So they could maybe pick up, a mid-table victory somewhere against one of the more regulated teams who play very standard. But just, they looked like they knew what they wanted to do until someone just threw a spanner in the works and then they just kind of crumbled. So I think we might see them being a little better down the line, maybe, as long as they don't lose the right attitude.
Maybe their time just hasn't come yet and they will shine throughout this season, because there's still a lot of match days ahead of us and people get involved. Tell us what's on your mind. How do you think will ASAP evolve over the course over the past match days, over the next match days? Use the hashtag WGLU to contact us, to tweet us, and maybe get some e-fame by getting your tweet displayed during the show and having our experts actually talk about it. Also, if you want to see the matches of the past match days, head over to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/WGLEU. Subscribe it, of course, to get a notification as soon as we upload new video content, and rewatch the VODs. And I think we might be heading into a break. The next team vote will be on, so you have time to vote. Head over to Facebook, get involved, and maybe get your share of bonus codes by doing well and maybe by being one of the fastest predictions. Just test yourself. Facebook.com/WGLEU. That's where you have to go. And people, we will be back in a short time. Don't go anywhere.